a question to Grant to do with Trip Connect, and basically the fact that you have to be a business listing before you can connect with.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. That before you can be on Trip Connect. My feeling is, and you probably know who I am anyway, is that you're doing yourself a disservice because it's a great product, but it's a hell of a barrier to get entry to. And I think as a metasearch opportunity, it would be far greater than the benefits one would obtain from than the business listing.
Okay. This is ridiculous. Mr. Audiovisuals? Mr. Audiovisuals? We need some microphones at the front, please. Sorry about that.
Hi, Ian. Great question. And the rules as they are around Trip Connect are you do need a business listing subscription at the current time. But I'm happy to take the feedback. I happen to be in Boston next week and take the feedback. And obviously there's a cheerleading squad down here on the right-hand side that feel that it's necessary to be raised. So I don't have any other reply than it's really valued feedback, and take it to the folks in Boston who make those decisions.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I grab that microphone? Oh. Here you go.
Hi. We've been doing a lot of work lately around the role of OTAs and metasearch within the consumer purchase journey, and a lot of our findings point towards the consumer not distinguishing between metasearch and OTA. Would you agree with that, or do you think that they do distinguish?
Grant kindly offered to let me start answering that. In my view, right, there is a level of sort of quote-unquote confusion. We've done some surveys in China where we're based, UVB, where initially at least many users, and we get this when people call us as well, just asking, they think we're selling the product, even though we think we've made it very clear that we're not selling the product, we're passing you through to a booking page elsewhere. So for sure, it's an issue, but how big an issue it is really, I'm not sure. I mean, I think as metasearch matures, people will realize that there is a distinction between comparing hotels and comparing hotels. So really, metasearch, what we're doing is we're comparing deals, I think, as everyone in this room will know, and it is one further level of choice. It is the agglomeration effect of why many shopping malls tend to put all the shoe shops on one floor, why there are malls which have all computer shops. Why would people do that? List next to their competitors. Their consumers ultimately find that convenient. They like the choice. They like the transparency. And so while there may be a level of confusion, to me, I don't think it's an issue per se, as long as you're providing value to the user.
Well, we basically work on the Russian market a lot, and we became global only 1.5 years ago. So we had a lot of questions from OTA like that, and the answer is always it's up to OTAs. So if an OTA show something special, like very special for user, if there are a lot of value, people will not think that they buy on metasearch. People will not think about anything. They will just love the product and they will stuck into it forever or for some years. Well, that's it.
For TripAdvisor, we have only just crossed our 1-year anniversary of being in the meta space, and you might remember before we moved to meta, it was the pop-up windows. It was 3, and before that was 8. We got a lot of feedback from our customer base said that we don't like the windows. So we moved into meta. That's been 1 year, and it's all about the user experience. As TripAdvisor is a little bit different because we have a lot more rich content built around the meta placements, and then it's up to the consumer. Am I buying by brand? Am I buying by brand, or am I buying by price? Price is generally king. A lot of people aren't loyal in brand, so depending how that price is serviced, and off the site, so it's not an inside experience. To Wade's point before, I think as the markets change and as technology changes, once the experience is more in-app or within the desktop, that's when I think your point will be very, very valid, where people will be a little bit, am I staying with Kayak or am I actually going to hotels.com? For example. And I think over the next year, you'll see a lot of exciting developments in that space.
Yeah, I want to also add that definitely sometimes it will be very confusing, but also it's very clear that metasearch will not do customer service. If you want to change or cancel your booking to hotel website, and also I think still as a hotel, you can also send a confirmation message in the emails to the customer directly. If you have an own app, own site, you can also do a lot of customer service. So basically, I think that you really can do a lot to let consumer know that you actually provide this service.
Another question from the audience?
Okay.
Is this the one you're not using?
Hello? Yeah. A question to Wei, and really to do with particularly Google Hotel Price Ads. And you mentioned that there are a few hotels that have actually taken up some of the metasearch activity. One of the issues that I would see is the fact that it's very hard to understand from day one or early on before going on what your return on investment is going to be. Can you share some insights into what are the click per booking, so that what is the expected cost per booking from your experience and your management of the interfaces with the meta searches?
Sure. Yes, I get asked a lot about these questions. Because Google use real-time bidding process, so the click per booking, cost per click is decided by you. You can bid how high you want to be. But regarding the click per cost per booking and also the ROI, is yes, in the beginning, you probably very hard for a hotel to figure that out. But we actually work with Google Hotel Price Ad for almost 3 years. So we actually build some statistic model to figure that out. So we have basic good ideas what it be, but it really depends. I mean, you can want your ROI be as high as 2,000%, or maybe just 100%. It really depends. I mean, it's decided by you. We build an algorithm that you just tell us what's your ROI target, and we can calculate the biddings per click for you, for each hotel, for each site, so you can reach your ROI target. Hopefully that will make it easier for you.
Can I just add one thing on that? I think you can look at metasearch ROI in isolation or all of your distribution ROI. So I think it's important not just to think of just meta as the look at that ROI, but I know with some of our hotel customers who do with TripAdvisor, they do display, they have business listings, they have metasearch, and they actually look at TripAdvisor as a whole, and they all have different ROI targets to them. So you can look at it in isolation, but there's also like the bigger picture. And understanding, and a lot of it's around testing. So test, iterate. Your ROI may not be fixed every month, it may be fixed for a year, but it depends on seasonality, traffic patterns, how much competition there is, who the other competitors are that are advertising on the hotel. So you need to have some flexibility and not to like put the stake in the ground and say, you know, I want 20 to 1. You need to understand what is the most cost-effective way to bring in traffic from those metasearch, and every metasearch may have a different ROI attached to it.
Can you introduce yourself before you?
Hi, I'm Matthew Fall from Swiss Bell Hotel. A lot of the OTAs have stated that they're going to try and move away from the whole price parity thing into personalized pricing, dynamic packaging, personalized packaging and so forth of multiple services. How do you see this impacting the metasearch area and responding to that? Those changes where it's the pricing becomes less opaque.
So you're saying you're seeing a trend towards less rate parity?
I mean, some of the OTAs have stated, hey, we're not going to do so much of the rate parity thing. We're going to try and move into the personalized packaging so the hotel price becomes less opaque, personalized pricing, or package deals where it's the pricing's hidden in various places, and try and expand on those areas. So how can you see that impacting the meta searches?
Yeah, I think what we see, I mean, I think we're most, UOBB is most active in China. And what we see there with the OTAs is certainly for a long time, if there's been little of any rate parity, there's just, it's not the market practice where even where some hotels insist on a sort of a parity price, the OTAs will compete against each other by giving rebates and using other methods to differentiate themselves. So it's common, certainly, in our market for that to be the case. And then bundling is another way, of course, with flights or with or other things, with a spa or anything really, a way of differentiating. So purely, frankly, from a metasearch perspective, we're fine with that. We feel like we add value because we want to show all the deals. And where the deals are different, we obviously need to do work to try and make it as transparent as possible why they're different. What you're getting in that overall price. That's the challenge because the level of data granularity is sometimes not there.
I agree. I think it also depends on the real estate on the site. You know, how much real estate is going to be dedicated to price and then to these ancillary things if they're bundled into it. It's talked about. Some of the OTAs do types of discounting now, whether it's taking dollar value off, or in China it's very big with coupons. But you've got to be able to, on the UI, be able to tell people this is a room and a theatre ticket and a breakfast. And if you don't have that, it's very hard to break it. So it's a hotly talked about subject. Some meta searches actually rank the results by price, by advertiser. TripAdvisor is different. We rank by CPC. but the model's constantly changing. So we've yet to see one of the bigger OTAs break that parity, but I'm sure the first one is out there ready to do it. We just need to see that once they do it, how do we all work in that space with them? Because it's all about a partnership.
I think Expedia said they're aiming for that.
And I also want to add that as a hotel, you can also do more to play your own game. You can basically bundle some of your own like dinner, some other services with your pricing, so which OTA cannot compete with this year.
Obviously, we talked about the OTAs, but Google is moving, to me as an outsider, into your space. Do you feel it's a threat? Maybe not for the regional players here, but for TripAdvisor?
It's a great question. I mean, we're citing everyone's frenemies. We spend a lot of money on Google ourselves to obviously acquire traffic, and they're moving into sort of like our space. So I'd class them as frenemies. I think their move on Room 77 is very interesting. They've acquired the license for the technology, but they actually haven't brought the company, which is usually everything's about total acquisition. My assumption is they've dived into the space to get some technology because their own solution perhaps wasn't up to their own standards or delivering the right results. But we're frenemies as much as they're a competitor. We work with them and they work with us too in a business relationship. So, and I think a lot of hotel chains, when I speak to them, they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. They like to have diversify their streams of distribution. Everyone can bring in a different customer very differently. Generally with TripAdvisor, people are further down the funnel, closer to purchase. Currently with Google, they're further up the funnel. They're doing a bit more of a, shall I go to Fiji? Shall I go to Koh Samui? Everyone has a different contribution of value through that path to purchase.
And do you think that path to purchase will change as they start putting their prices up? Or is that still... So essentially you say they go to Google, find the product, and then go to TripAdvisor, get the review, and then decide to book.
That's how we see some customer behavior now, I guess.
Any other questions?
Actually, Tim, if I could just elaborate quickly on that point. So, in a way, you could say it's the biggest compliment to metasearch, right? Clearly that Google kind of, you're not, in the past people would say metasearch supports suppliers, supports OTAs, but you're competing against Google general search versus specialist search. But now, if general search is becoming specialist via acquisition or otherwise, both Google and in China, Baidu being a majority holder of Qunar, they clearly see value in the space for the consumer, and they want to be in that space.
When we research this product, we have conflicting views from travel suppliers. Some prefer Google, some are terrified of Google because they're too big and the monopoly potential they have. Other players like metasearch companies, some don't. So can we have a quick raise of hands? Who prefers metasearch over Google from the hoteliers or suppliers? Come on. 1, 2. So basically it's pretty agnostic. You don't have any preference, don't care.
And can I jump in? I think one reason that a lot of hands didn't go up is a lot of the hotel chains aren't connected to Meta. They're relying on the OTAs to actually get the customer to pass to them. So it goes back to Wade's slides before, that the technology and the connectivity and having worked with hotels in various roles and various companies, technology hasn't been their strong point. And they need to either invest in technology, invest in people who actually can make that connectivity, or find partners like Derby, etc., to bring them to the table with metasearch players. But it's a very big focus for chains. It's a very big focus now to disrupt the distribution.
Yeah, we will solve that problem.
Just to follow on from the rate parity, but also to look at the situation as far as most hotels, I would say generally all hotels, want to get people to book direct. However, one of the overriding exercises is a lower cost of distribution, and whether it's cheaper to book direct or to book via a metasearch and a pay-per-click campaign of some description that generates more bookings at a cheaper cost. When you look at a lot of the OTAs with brand hijacking and using hotel branding within their paid advertising, and Google hasn't helped this by allowing it to happen and to occur. When we're looking at the question and the topic of saying how big can metasearch get, if metasearch is actually looking to go ahead, if it can drive cheaper but still make a profit bookings, that is surely going to hurt the OTAs, which is either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on where you're sitting.
Actually, I'm not this type of very big hotel specialist in our company, but speaking frankly, when you say about like driving bookings to somewhere, it means that you show some kind of results, and you not so much care about how cheap is it. You care about value of these results. So frankly, we would like to play with all kind of players, like in airlines or in hotel field, who have something special. And we have pretty big expertise based on 140 different OTAs and based on like hundreds of hotels, tens of chains, and we have all these figures inside of our databases. We can share it, and we can try to like squeeze some distribution out of it. So maybe I didn't get your question so clearly. Sorry for that.
To me, I mean, if you take one extreme, a company, a hotel, say, or an airline who doesn't do any direct distribution, and they just go via wholesalers or travel agents or OTAs, and they just they're not interested, or they don't think they can do direct distribution. And on the other extreme, you've got a low-cost airline or a hotel equivalent chain who only does direct distribution, won't work with agents, wholesalers, and in many cases they just does it via their website. Very extreme strategies, but in the middle, I think it seems to, from what I see, and certainly in China, is that you have a huge amount of hotels who do a bit of both, right, to a greater or lesser extent. And so to me, it's not necessarily a case of, it's not so black or white to say that it's got to be either OTAs or direct. I think for the foreseeable future, you're going to see people will have a range. They won't want to put all their eggs in one basket. Have a range of distribution strategies. They'll want to grow direct where it makes sense for them to do so, because where they can obviously save on commissions, they will. But they've got to balance that with volumes as well. And so I think that's what you'll see. And Meta, as you said, from a Meta perspective, since we feel we're platform play, we support both of those models.
I think the customer's always going to want choice, and their choice will be driven by price. Also, user experience. And it could also be driven by loyalty. So we saw a lot about loyalty today from Rakuten. There's loyalty from the chains direct, and there's loyalty from Hotel Club and Hotels.com, for example. So there's some other hooks in there, and that will actually drive the customer to a particular site, whether that's brand.com or whether that's an OTA. It could be past experience, it could be the best price, it could be loyalty that gets in there. And I think the chains, once they do get a booking from a meta player, like when they get a booking from an OTA, they need to work harder to own the customer. So once they have that customer's email address or contact details, whether it's through a brand.com booking or when that customer checks in, that's when they need to work really hard to retain that customer. It costs a lot less to retain a customer than it does to acquire a new customer.
Any more questions? Any more questions out there?
Maybe I want to add something here. I mean, the customer acquisition cost may not be much cheaper. If you pay Expedia 20% or 25%, they will bid up to that percentage on Google Hotel Price Ad or TripAdvisor. So basically, you have to bid the same price, almost the same amount of cost per click for that customers. But going back to the Grant's point, once you acquire these customers, you need to retain this customer as a long-term relationship. So in the future, you don't have to pay Google or other metasearch companies for that customers. So they can repeat visit, that's free for you.
Hello, sorry. One question which I came with is we're talking about the OTAs and Google. What do metasearch companies have to change? How must they evolve to survive and grow in the future? What's your plans for those sort of things?
On the TripAdvisor front, it's instant booking. So actually, Wei had a screenshot up there of that. So that's actually doing booking in device. We've rolled that out in North America. We're about 30 to 40% of our traffic at the moment, and it will come to other markets over a period of time. And I would not be surprised to see it on other devices as well, aside from mobile. It's after any booking. It's allowing the person to actually book directly with the vendor. It stays within app. The vendor does all customer service, accepts all the payment. That's kind of the area of focus for TripAdvisor right now.
Yeah, I concur. Funnily enough, in China, I think companies like Qunar, for example, pretty early on in doing sort of effectively facilitating a booking or collecting money on flights, not just hotels. I think this is largely a hotel audience, and I think that TripAdvisor still largely does. It focuses on it for hotels, but in China it's very commonplace amongst ourselves, YoBB, Qunar, Kuxun, any of the meta players to completely to take money from the consumer and consummate the book for a flight, issue a PNR, get the ticket issued. Although we make it very clear, we try and make it it's not us selling the ticket. It is someone else selling the ticket. If you want to change it, cancel it, contact this customer service number. So, but that whole thing, particularly on mobile, becomes more and more important because it's a suboptimal experience typically to have to jump to a mobile website, even for those many OTAs suppliers, or certain suppliers don't even have mobile-friendly websites. So being able to stay in-app to complete that booking certainly helps conversion rates. And I think I just add in terms of a personal sort of beyond that development is the potential for packaging in a much more dynamic way than currently exists. Most meta really has been flights and hotels, But beyond that, there could be a lot more, even just if it was flights and hotels, and being able to let the consumer recommend to the consumer saying, you search for a flight here, why don't you look at this flight and hotel package, which may well meet your needs.
Well, actually, it's funny, but I think 4 or 5 years already, people in different fields are speaking about Google as killer of some players in the field. Well, actually, we are not thinking a lot about Google in this case at all, because Google is not a very regional player, so it plays like all over the world at the same time. And Metas know better how to play regionally. So it's a huge value for users in the exact regions. And on the other hand, well, can you imagine how exactly all the processes are working in Google or Yandex or different searching companies who do Meta? It's a small department in the very, very, very big and overcrowded company who work on just a small project in this huge company. And it makes all the processes very, very hard and very, very slow. Metasearch is something that should change and grow very fast. So we can see that changes are like not yearly but monthly happen. And that's why we think that Google should represent some kind of a special strategy to beat someone. Currently, it's just impossible.
It's actually a good point about Google. I mean, I've nothing but respect for Google, clearly, but they've got products where arguably they've not done so well outside of their core competencies. I mean, beyond search and Gmail, I think are great, but Google, I think a lot of people forget that Google Wave, Google Buzz, Google Notes kind of have all been set up and then shut down. And so query whether travel is going to be a core competency for them going forward.
I don't know if Google will kill any message company. Priceline and TripAdvisor, and they are both one of the biggest customers of Google. You don't want to kill your own customers, right? But there's clearly some cannibalization here.
Okay. Another question from...
This question's probably going to be a little bit controversial, but let's see what you come out with.
What's going on?
I mean, in the OTA space, in the OTA space, it's a fairly easy question now because over time things have consolidated. And if you said, which 3 OTAs, if you're a hotel in Asia, which ones you have to work with, you'd probably say Agoda, Booking.com, and Ctrip. But looking ahead, maybe, because there's obviously lots of metas, whether it's QNAR, TripAdvisor, Google, Kayak, WeGo, Hotels Combined, Trivago. For each of the panelists, if you're advising hotels as to which one to invest in as a significant top 3 channel in a couple of years' time, how would you rank the metasearch market going ahead? I know that's putting you all on the spot, but I just thought I'd go for it.
I think, again, just going back to Way's slide, he had a slide up there of all the metasearch players, which I think there's 12 or 16, primarily, and let's say they're on Asia Pacific, and if we had to whittle it down to 3, I would say Trivago, Kayak, TripAdvisor, and I'd treat China as slightly different because it is a very different market. Tuna would be thrown into that mix as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not to cop out too much, Adrian, but China, as you know, is kind of a different ecosystem, and so for us in China, I think we see Qunar is the market leader now, frankly. But the first market its size, we don't see that there's actually that many players. There's Qunar, Kushun, and /Taotao under the ourselves UBB, you know, I mean, I think if you compare it to OTAs as you did, maybe in the early days of OTA, there might have been 8 to 10 more players, and it's kind of consolidated. Although you know, there's always new players in particular niches, will happen in the metasearch land as well.
And even though we're talking about 3, I think to your point, Stephen, there is room for niches in particular markets because it could be like language, geography, type of meta product. It could be someone actually really excels in packages that we've said before that perhaps the larger meta players don't get their head around or can't find a good solution. So there's certainly going to be, say, the big 3, but I think in some markets, the larger, maybe domestic or interregional markets, there could be 1 or 2, 3 other niche players that have their spot there that actually fit well within the marketplace.
Well, on the other conference in London currently, CEOs. Sorry, it wasn't me. CEOs of huge companies are speaking about that in the near future, only 3 brands, like 3 metasearch brands, will exist. All others will die. Well, not sure how can it happen. Let's see. But well, Yandex as a big search, not metasearch, but a big search, play one game. It's a kind of scientists things in their company. So they went to Turkey market, and they right now researching the idea that if a market will have 3 players at the same time, 80% of all the audience will use the first one, the leader, 15% will use the second one, and 5% will use the third one, even if they will not have any differences between products. Like if it will be the same product but with a different brand name. Well, just a small hint.
Yeah, we actually, Debisoft, we actually connect, we work with all such companies. So basically, if you, we can help you to work with all these companies. You don't have to just pick 3, because it's definitely we see a long tails of metasearch player can bring you traffic and bookings. So we definitely see a value for that.
We have time for just one more question on metasearch.
Hello. Will metasearch move beyond flights and hotels? And what would it be? Will metasearch move beyond flights and hotels? And if so, what's the next segment?
Well, we're already trying, you know, but currently our market is okay with flights and with hotels, and well, we do a lot of experiments. For example, with some kind of leisure travels, with cars, with transfers and so on. And I can say that we can sell it good on the metasearch, even with the huge auditory. For example, in Russia we have 7 million people monthly, and we do more than 200,000 tickets per month in sales, and only I think 3 booked cars per week. Not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking from Yogi's experience, we actually started off trying to do a lot of comparison of tours, not even flights plus hotel type packages, but group tours, the time with a guide. It's really challenging, to be honest, because you don't have the homogeneity of product and the quality of data. Certainly now, though people are making strides in that regard. The nice thing about flights and hotels, to a great extent, and I think that's why Meta's gone here first, is that you can come very close to apples comparison of deals, which is the value that Meta adds, and there's still a lot of work to do there. So I actually think for many Meta players, the challenge there, as we discussed earlier, is to still get more comprehensive, better, easier checkout, referring to easier checkout in-app and so on flights and hotels. But that's not to say, I think packages, for us, as I said, packages will come next, and people are looking at different things, multimodal trains, and car hire and so on as well.
I think packages and cruises. There's some really big cruise markets out there, and I wouldn't be surprised that North America, Australia, I think we'll have something like 15, 16 ships next year. That cruises will be something that people look at as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any more questions before we round up? No? Thank you very much to the panel. I'd like to give a big round of applause. Thank you.